Look, the AI revolution, it runs on electricity. And frankly, we're running out. That has kicked off a trillion-dollar race to build a whole new kind of power grid. And there are two American companies right at the center of it all. This is more than just a story about batteries, you know? It's a high-stakes battle of chemistry, capital, and flat-out corporate survival. And by the end of this, you're going to understand exactly who has the edge. Think about it. Every single time you use an AI, you are tapping into a data center that guzzles the energy of a small city. The explosive growth of these centers is pushing our power grids to the absolute breaking point. This isn't some problem for down the road. It is happening right now. And it's created this urgent, almost existential need for a whole new class of industrial-scale energy storage. The amount of money on the table here is, well, it's almost hard to get your head around. Bloomberg NEF projects the energy storage market is going to hit 7,250 gigawatt hours by 2035. So what does that even mean? Well, that's enough juice to power over 700 million homes for a full day. Yeah, we're talking about a multi-trillion-dollar prize, and believe me, the race to claim it is on. So right in the middle of this race, you have two American innovators. And what's really interesting is that they've both decided to reject the dominant lithium-ion chemistry, betting instead on materials that are way cheaper and more abundant. So let's meet the contenders, EOS Energy and ESS Tech. This isn't just your typical corporate rivalry. No, this is a fundamental debate about the chemistry itself. EOS is betting the farm on zinc, a really powerful and dense element. ESS, on the other hand, is all in on iron, one of the most common materials on Earth. They're both trying to build a new American supply chain, but as we're about to see, how they're doing it, well, it couldn't be more different. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty here. This table breaks down the key technical differences. EOS uses this water-based zinc chemistry inside a clever mechanical design they call the Z3. The best way to think of it is as a static, dense block of power. It's just ideal for that 3 to 12-hour market. Now, ESS uses a totally different approach. It's a flow battery that literally uses iron, salt, and water. Their secret sauce is this patented proton pump that keeps the battery's chemistry balanced, promising it'll last for decades. It's for those huge grid-scale projects that need to run for 8 hours or more. For EOS, the name of the game is energy density. It's all about packing the most power you possibly can into the smallest footprint. This makes it a perfect fit for places where space is at a premium. Think of data centers in the middle of a city or military microgrids. They're solving that immediate problem for the AI industry. Where the heck do we put this thing? Now, ESS's entire bet hinges on this one piece of tech, the proton pump. You have to understand, for 50 years, iron flow batteries had this problem where their chemistry would get out of balance and limit their lifespan. This device solves that. It's a huge deal. It allows ESS to claim they've basically created an immortal battery using some of the cheapest materials on the planet. Their target isn't really data centers. It's those massive utility-scale projects designed to last for decades. So, different technologies, that means vastly different strategies. And right now, in 2025, these two companies find themselves on completely opposite paths. One is executing a massive scale-up, while the other is in a high-stakes fight for its own survival. EOS is running the classic capital-fueled scale-up playbook. They're armed with a $303 million loan from the Department of Energy, and they are pouring it into automating their factory under something called Project Amaze. The goal? To be able to crank out 8 gigawatt hours of batteries a year. With the funding in the bank, their mission is simple: turn their massive backlog of orders into revenue as fast as humanly possible. Meanwhile, wow, it's like something out of a corporate drama. They are literally tearing up old, unprofitable contracts and betting the entire company on a single new product, the energy base. The problem? They're doing this while navigating a severe cash crunch that could sink the whole ship before their new tech even makes it to market. You don't just have to take my word for it. This massive split in strategy, it's written all over their 2025 financial reports. The numbers, well, they tell the whole story. I mean, the difference in revenue is just staggering. EOS gets its factory online and boom, revenue skyrockets over 600% year over year. In that same period, ESS's revenue collapsed by 75%. Now, that was a deliberate move as they shed old contracts, but still, what a dramatic picture. Where they're putting their money reflects their strategies perfectly. It's a classic case of offense versus defense. For EOS, it's all about scaling production. For ESS, it's a desperate race to finalize their R&D while just managing to stay afloat. They are in pure survival mode. And the momentum for EOSE? It's just undeniable. A remarkable 83% of their current order backlog is scheduled to be turned into actual revenue within the next 12 months. That gives them incredible short-term visibility and proves that the market is demanding their product right now. All right, now back to ESS. At the end of 2025, the company had just $22 million in cash and equivalents left on hand. That number is absolutely critical because it triggered one of the most serious warnings a public company can possibly receive. And here it is. In their official 2025 annual report, ESS's own auditor, KPMG, issued a going concern warning. Let me be crystal clear what that means. That is a formal declaration from an auditor saying there is significant doubt the company can even stay in business. The financial situation is that critical. So we have two companies on wildly different paths. How should an investor even begin to analyze this? Let's distill everything down into a clear playbook. Analysts have started calling EOSE the capacity harvester, and it fits perfectly. They are laser-focused on capturing the immediate, explosive demand from the AI boom. They're just using their capital and production advantages to harvest as many orders as they possibly can, right now. SS, by contrast, is the technology rebuilder. They are making a huge, high-risk, high-reward bet that they can rebuild their entire business around what they believe is a breakthrough, long-term technology. They're hoping for a massive payoff if, and it's a big if, they can just survive long enough to bring it to market. So for investors watching EOSE, the things to watch are pretty clear. First, Project Amaze. Are they hitting their production milestones? Second, that big government loan. Are they successfully drawing down the next chunks of that money? And finally, the order book. Are new, large-scale contracts from data centers and utilities continuing to roll in? For ESS, the story is all about survival and execution. The key questions are totally different. Number 1, can they secure financing to get rid of that going concern risk? 2, can they successfully deliver the first commercial units of the energy base and prove it works? And finally, can they sign new, profitable contracts to prove this turnaround is for real? And this really brings us to the ultimate question. EOSE has the capital, the factory, and the market momentum. ESS claims to have the superior long-term chemistry. So in the trillion-dollar race to power AI, does capital beat chemistry, or does breakthrough technology always win in the end? That is the multi-billion-dollar question the market is about to answer.